John chapter 7, verse 1. After this, Jesus traveled in Galilee, since he did not want to travel in Judea because the Jews were trying to kill him. If you remember in the beginning of chapter 6, the masses were following Jesus, and the populace was with him. He was popular. The people were with him. The Jewish leaders who didn't like him couldn't kill him without upsetting the crowd. But now the masses have rejected Jesus, and so it would be very easy for the Jewish leaders to seize him and take him through some kind of a false trial. And they couldn't kill him. They didn't have the authority to kill him. They would have had to have taken him to the Romans, which might explain why he's in Galilee. That was an area that Herod had oversight in, and if he were closer to the Romans, maybe the Jewish people could get him close to the Romans. The Romans could issue a death sentence of some sort, and that's actually what we're going to see at the end of the gospel. At the end of these stories, that's what happens. Of course, Jesus was perfect, and yet he was found guilty by the Romans, which was wrong, and by the Jewish people, which was wrong. He was put to death on a cross. He was laid in a tomb after his death, and then he raised on the third day to life, proving he was God, and then he ascended to the right hand of the Father. But here, during his earthly ministry, he still has work to do. So to avoid much of that, he's staying in the area of Galilee. It could also be that he knows the area pretty well. It's an area he spent some time in, and so he could travel from town to town, maybe a little bit easier, maybe without all the hassle of the Jewish leaders who weren't familiar with the area. Also, this after this statement at the beginning is indicating that we're making a change. We had this long narrative, many verses, 70-something verses of discussion, and now it's saying it's time to see something different. What we're going to see is that his family's now going to reject him, and others are going to reject him. We're now moving into a season where Jesus is going to be bold and constantly rejected.